Hi, this is Chris from Music Radar, and we're here with the production legend that is Andy Johns at NAMM 2011. So Andy, over to you.
Well, I thought I might introduce myself. I've been doing this for 44 years, no less. In fact, even longer than that, since I was 11, really. But I've worked with the Rolling Stones, Exile on Main Street, and several other albums. Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, did 3 records with them. And Van Halen and Free, and it's about 202 albums. But I've just lucked into this Albion thing, and the amps are astonishingly good. I really like the small combo. It's sweet as a nut, it really is. And the bass rig is a gas. I've used it already on 3 different projects. The 80 or 100 watt amp, depending on whether you're using American watts or English watts, is very, very good. You just have to roll off a little bit at top, but it's a gasser, and I'm very happy with it, and they've been quite kind to me, and I'm just a happy cat about the whole thing.
Cool. So when it comes to, what are the guitar sounds that you're kind of most proud of in terms of records that you've recorded?
Well, it's hard to say what you're most proud of. I've done so many records. There's no such thing as the best. I would say some of the Clapton stuff, where we were just using a little champ face down into a Leslie, sort of little phony Leslie. That was pretty good. I don't know, I've used 150 different setups over the years. Joe Satriani, who wanted to play through boxes, I went, no, we're not doing that. So we used Marshalls, and Marshalls are a big favorite of mine, but these Albion things work just as good, and I'm very happy about them. I have no complaints. It's just a little tough to keep up with. There are so many manufacturers now. It really is kind of difficult to figure out everything that's out there. But I've been lucky enough to luck into Albion, and I've been using the stuff constantly since I got the stuff. What is it now, 3 months or something? Best guitar sounds, well, this isn't Albion. We're talking about Rock Soft, which is a Fender, a Telecaster through a Fender. And Keith sort of fell asleep at about 3 or 4 in the morning, and I drove all the way back to my Bijou on the Mediterranean, no less, just outside of Monte Carlo. The phone's ringing, and I thought I'd escaped. Oi, where are you? I said, you nodded off, man. You went to sleep. Well, get back here, I've got this other idea. So fortunately, it was like I guess a 40-minute drive or something. And I got back there, and he did the other Telecaster through a Fender. No, that was an Ampeg, sorry, it was an Ampeg. And the double track Magic with the 2 rhythms counterpointing was very good, and I'm still very proud of that.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Obviously, some of the stuff I did with Pagey, I'm proud of, but it was much simpler back in those days.
Yeah.
I don't know why we take so long to make records now. It takes 4 to 5 bloody months or something. We used to do those records in 3 weeks. It was just, I don't know, I really don't. But the technology's changed, and it's more complicated, and the more gear you get in there, the more chance there is for something to not work. I never expect anything to work first, it just doesn't. But this stuff, and I want one of the combos because they are so sweet. I was working with this mate of mine that does the trailers for Lord of the Rings and all kinds of big deal movies, Chris Fields. And he had one of the combos, and I was ditzing around with it the other day with a Telecaster, and it was so sweet. I went, gotta have one. They better give me one of those. I ain't spending any money. I'm too cheap of a SOB, so I better get one of those today. But the bass rig is a gas. I really like the bass rig. I've been getting great results out of that. And also, it's funny, when I read Jeff Emmerich's book about the Beatles, you know, and I turned the Beatles down. Paul wanted me to go work for them, and I went, well, it's Thursday, can I call you on Monday? So I turned them down. It was too bizarre. But what they would do at the end of the night with Jeff Emmerich was do the bass last, so you can play around the vocal lines and everything and move the mic way back. And this bass rig that Albion makes with the 15 and the 410s and the horn, I just bang the mic like about here to there, and there's no phase problems when you put the mic that far back, and it sounds just fabulous.
So, given the people that you've worked with and obviously the interesting characters over the years, and people like Keith Richards, etc., what, having worked with them, what advice would you give to sort of aspiring guitar players who are going into the studio in terms of their approach when it comes to getting sounds? What's kind of the top sort of tip from your perspective?
Well, it's hard to give advice, I must admit, but I do know this. Either you know it or you don't. There's also this, when I've learned to read through, when I first started just engineering, I started producing when I was 19, and I hit a record with Blobbing Pig, but then producing, but I didn't feel that I was quite ready, but anyway, that's bullshit. Sometimes what you have heard through your amplifier in the bedroom, the mics will not quite accept. And I've learned to read through that. I've learned to read through that so I psychosomatically hear what it's going to be like in the control room. And I like to have the head in the control room so I can tweak it, because that's going to give me far more control than anything I could do on the mixer. Or, you know, well, mic positioning is quite important. But you have the head in the room, and then you just make it sound the way you want it to be. And it's just a matter of work, you see. It's just a matter of work. There's nothing wrong with a bit of work. It's like ploughing a field. And then you get the joy. And there is so much joy in music because the entity, God, is touching us. I don't know why, but the entity goes, not so bad, Andrew. We think you're getting there. Of course, I might go to hell or purgatory. We don't know yet. Maybe on the cusp of death, we'll find out.
Well, as there are people queuing up to interview you, we'll leave it there. But thanks very much for your time, Andy. That was great. Cheers. It was Music Radar here at NAMM 2011.